What's going on, everybody? Much love on this Sunday night. Want to get involved real quick, see who's up with me, tapping in. We're gonna talk about the best eras in Long Island history, right? So invite somebody on here, man. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit of trash. We got all the way from the '60s, all the way, well, really the '50s, all the way up until present day. Let's see if somebody tap in with me. I know this is just a random live. We didn't even publicize this, man. We're just gonna just dive into it, enhance the page. Somebody give me something. Tap in with me. We got somebody. What's happening, Vanessa? How we doing? Vanessa, what's the best time period in Long Island basketball history? Who we got? What? You think it's the 90s, the 2000s? Is it the 80s? Somebody tap in with me. What we got? The 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s. We have a lot of really good players over the course of history. Tap in with me. Give me some hearts in the chat. Let me know if y'all can hear me. Somebody give me something. I keep wrestling back and forth with my answer. I'm not quite sure where I'm trying to lock in at, man. I keep going back and forth because I think there's a few decades. So we're going by decades. We're going by decades. I think there's a few decades that have a compelling argument. They have a compelling argument for who has the best era in Long Island basketball history. Somebody tap in with me. We can pull some random people. We can pull somebody on camera, man. Let them give us their opinion. You feel me? Let me see what we got. Learning how to work this. Learning how to work this. What's up, Lexi? Tell P to get on here. Where's P at? Yeah. Somebody tap in with me. Where we at? Okay. Let me see. Yup. Okay, that's working. Forgive me. I'm just making sure I'm learning how to fix this thing. Let me see. Talk to me. Okay. There you go. We got D Moore in there. D Moore, where you at? Tell everybody to pull up. What we got for the best era? What we got for the best era, D Moore? We can. Let's see, D Moore. Let's go ahead and ask you to get on here. D Moore, who you got, man? Who we got? So you got in the '80s, man. We got Shelton Jones. I'm throwing out some names. Billy Donovan. Who else we got in the '80s, man? We had guys like Russell Pierre. Bobby Brown was in there. We had Troy Bowe that was in there in the '80s. Then you go back to the '70s. Oh man. Wait, the '80s had Tom Gugliotta too. They had Tom Gugliotta. Then we had in the '70s, man. I think Mitch Kupchak's in there. I think we got Mitch Kupchak that's in there. We got Toby Knight. These guys were big time players and went to the NBA. Ooh, who else we had? Frank Bukowski. Who else we got in there? let's see, the 90s. The 90s, there's a lot of good high school players in there. And we had Wally Zerbiak, Mike James, that went on to the NBA. Can somebody put something in the chat? See if that chat is working for me. Let me see. Test. Okay, looks like it's working on my end. Looks like it's working on my end. Let's see. Bobby Brown, talk to me, boss man. Bobby, let's weigh in, man. Who got the best era? Who got the best era, OG? Who got the best era? Talk to me, Bobby Brown. Who got the best era, man? Is it the 80s? I feel like I know what you're going to say. I know when you was playing. What's up, big bro?
What's going on, brother, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hold on, let me see something.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good. I hear you good now, man. Hope all is well. Talk to me real quick.
80s hands down, man.
80s hands down, okay.
The
Without even.
reason why I say that, because after the 80s, they had the 3-point line. We didn't have a 3-point line.
Okay.
So we had to get our 3 points naturally.
You got to get the N1s.
Yeah, the N1. So that made it tougher, the game tougher, the people tougher. Once the line started getting in there, people started standing out by the line, the inside game went away a little bit. So
It did transform the game now. So what's your criteria? What would you feel like weighed the most in making your decision for the 80s having the strongest era in Long Island basketball history? What's some of the features and the categories that weighed the most for you?
well, I think the thing that weighs the most, the 80s AUU wasn't popping, wasn't popping off then. So
Okay.
everybody played high school ball. See,
Okay.
nowadays, a lot of kids are not even really playing high school ball. They don't care about their high school teams. They care more about their AAU teams.
Okay. That's
So,
valid.
so that's why I think the 80s, like, you had to make your high school teams to be recognized.
That's valid. That's valid.
So,
So what about how much weight do you weigh on guys going to the next level, whether we playing college and then at the pinnacle of basketball, which would be the NBA? Does that factor in as much for you, or we're looking at mainly just what was going on in the high school ranks from the
yeah, I
80s?
basically based mine on what you did in high school.
Okay.
Oh, of course, college is the next level. Then NBA, it's the ultimate level.
Yes. So my,
But
my question will be somebody like let's say Dr. J for an example.
right,
He played in the 60s, right? And the 60s basketball obviously will be different than the 80s basketball.
right.
But you have a gentleman in Dr. J who is one of the top players and is an icon for the game of basketball. Would that elevate that era just having that gentleman's name in there,
What
so to speak? But what I'm kind of getting at is that if you have a bright star or somebody that got to the highest level in the NBA, does that help improve that era?
Oh yeah, obviously, 100% it does.
Yes.
100% the amount. Like I heard you speaking up earlier about the '90s on how many people went to the NBA
I think we
in the
got. I
'90s.
think we had. I think we got Zerbiak that went to the NBA. We got Mike
Mike went to the
James. Those are
went
the
to,
two names that I don't feel like I'm missing anybody. I think those are the two main names that come from there. And
Tobias, and then was after 2000. Wasn't Tobias was late 2000, right?
the 2000 is
10.
an interesting one. They have three guys, and then you have a gentleman like Jason Frazier who had the injuries, but you know what I mean. He was a lottery pick pretty much coming out of high school.
Right.
That's class of '02. So 2000 to 2010, they have three NBA players,
Okay.
right? I was a part of that. Then we had 4 year run. Amityville had a 4 year run where they won titles. Um, Amityville beat LeBron James in that era, right? That's a strong.
That's crazy. Yeah,
That's a
that's
strong
crazy.
victory.
Yeah,
That's a
that's a
strong
big victory.
victory.
That's a big. You can live. You can tell your grandkids about that one.
Yeah, that's a real thing. That's the only non-private school, you know what I mean, to beat him,
Okay.
right? That's the only public school to beat him. So how much weight would that hold in that type of situation where you have St. Mary's, you got Danny Green in that
Right.
era, right?
Lutheran had a few that went. I don't know if they stuck in the NBA though, but
Oh, yeah. No,
well, Winnington went to Lutheran.
Winnington is 81, bro. He's in that era.
Yeah,
Winnington went to the NBA, dude. So you had Winnington, you had Gugliotta, you had
Gugliotta had
Shelton Jones.
Tom. You can forget about Big Tom from St. Anthony Christ. He ain't stick in the
Yes,
league that long, but he made it through
yeah.
4 years of Villanova
He went
as
to
a starter.
Philadelphia,
So,
Villanova. The '80s is hard, man. The '80s is really tough. You had Troy Bowe cooking in there,
Troy,
yourself.
that's my man right there, boy.
Yeah, you had
Yo, I love
yourself.
that dude so much, man.
Yeah,
Rich
and then you had
Hampton,
the Hempstead teams. You had the Hempstead teams running through stuff. You had
always.
you had Malvern with Andre Hawkins, right?
Right. Syracuse, he went to SU. My man, Derek Brown went
Matt,
to SU.
Matt Bruss, right? So
Matt
we're
Russell
going down the
Beast.
list. Billy Donovan's '80s.
Billy Donovan was at St. Agnes.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
St.
yeah.
Agnes. They had
Uh,
one that was better than him, but they didn't really do anything. Bernard Woodside.
there you go. So I'm saying we got a bunch of names so I feel like each era is very compelling. The '70s had a couple of guys that went to the NBA. What do you feel about the '70s?
About who? Say it again. I couldn't hear you.
What do you feel about the 1970s? They had a couple guys to go to the NBA, and they had a lot of guys to go Division One.
Right. The 70s was my 70s names is not really all together. Like I can't really
I
go
can
back
help
and name
you
names,
out with
but
some of those.
it had a handful of people that did though. Did a lot of work in the 70s.
Yeah. You got Kupchak. Kupchak went in there. That's early '70s. We'll get some people that'll be able to chime in for us with the '70s. The one thing about the '70s for me is they were playing a lot of just teams from Long Island.
Right.
They didn't really have that same playoff system. They was playing mainly just your county until like the mid and the late '70s. Is that, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Got the state tournament into it. Right.
State tournament changes things. You got to go and play city, right? You're involved with a few more city teams in the Catholic schools crossing over.
Right. That was the thing back in the days. Long Island didn't get a lot of respect, man. In the
Yes.
70s and 80s for city basketball. The city never considered us like a basketball mecca or a basketball,
Yep.
place where people ball. But on the real, we was getting it in out here for real, man. For whatever reason, schools didn't want to travel to the city. They didn't want to bring, we brought a couple, schools to our high school from the city, to play them our championship year. Yeah, so I don't know how many Amityville had come out from the city to play in Amityville High, but we had
I,
a couple that came to our gym. Springfield came in
Yeah, you get
one
some of those,
time.
get some of those, you get some of those Queens teams and possibly a Brooklyn team that'll pull up, but it wasn't as common. It wasn't as common for it to happen until you started having teams from Long Island beating them in the playoffs to where it was kind of changing the dynamic of that. Is that fair to say? Did I lose you? Let's see. Let's get Deshaun in there. Where we at, D? You still with me? I think we lost Bobby Brown for a minute. We appreciate you tapping in. Let's see if we get somebody else in there, man. Let's get somebody else in that thing. I like it, man. A little round table discussion. So we got Bobby Brown with the '80s. Very compelling. Very compelling. There we go. Let's see. We got D Moore.
What's happening? What's happening?
What's going on, boss man? How we doing?
See, you woke up this morning wanting to start trouble.
I think it's only right to do a little verbal jousting and some sparring.
So what's the question again?
The best era in Long Island basketball history.
Best era. Hmm.
What would be your criteria? It's open to interpretation. You feel me?
All right, you know me already, so you know what I gotta say first.
Yeah.
It's kind of biased because basketball's evolved so much, man. Like it's you know what I'm saying it's it's a whole nother world now. But I'm gonna say 90s. I'm gonna say
What
90s.
what brings you to the 1990s? That's a lot of good basketball in the 70s, the 80s, and the 2000s. What makes you camp out in the
Be
1990s?
honest, I can't speak for the 70s. As far as the 80s go, doing my research, quality talent, but judging off statistics and from what I've seen,
Yeah.
um, you had losing teams, man, like with 20-point scorers.
Okay.
So you averaging 20 points wasn't enough, obviously. You know what I'm saying? So um, you wasn't averaging 10 points and making it all on our team either. You know, like being honest, you had to really be something with the odds, like not the numbers or, you know, they had to be the eye test.
They had to
And if
pass
you,
the
and
eye
if
test.
you and if you wasn't that, you just wasn't that.
What names come to mind from the 90s, man? Give me some names that bring you to be like, man, this is a strong era. This is a strong decade.
Um, hmm. I mean, I'm not gonna start in my own backyard because it's too easy. Um, I'm gonna say when I seen Scoop Farmer,
Yeah.
Kareem Farmer, and I seen Gary Williams, and I seen Garnett Thompson too, and I was like, oh, okay, like
Yes.
it's kind of tough.
Holla
But because mind
back.
you, I never heard of them before. When I seen them, I'm like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah.
So those are a few from my Suffolk, but I mean, you take your pick, man. Like you can't go wrong with neither pick.
Name
You
names.
had
Name
you,
names.
you had
That's
Sean
what
White, you had
name
you
some
had
names.
you had
Name some
you
names from
had Kyle, you had
Ivy Jones,
Darius Burton,
Darius Burton.
you had you had Long Beach, you had Billy Owens, he was doing his thing. Who else? Damn, they Long Beach had a good run too. They had a couple of dudes too. We
Yep.
talking specifically the '90s, right?
We're going from 1990
Yeah.
to 99.
Roosevelt had I'm a kid named Jamal Salah, I think his name was. Am I mistaken? Roosevelt had a good
We got
number of
Cobra,
players.
Culberson, right?
He was tough. He was tough. Um,
Mike James. Mike James got to the league from the 90s.
Mike James was tough.
Wally Zerby
James did
got
his number.
to the
Mike
league.
James, yeah. Mike James was tough.
He
But
got
he, I
just
mean,
he got tougher, but he also
he
represents the
got tougher.
90s.
But I'm saying, as far as what gave me the eye test, as far as like, oh, this like it's they out here.
But
Like,
yes.
he was definitely one of them ones. But like, it was some serious. It was like some serious dudes out here, bro. For real. Like,
Dewan Green.
I'm just talking about me watching. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
who else? Even the kid from he could be like it was a kid from Uniondale too. That was nice. I forgot his name, man. Damn.
Somebody tap in the chat. Who was nice from Uniondale in the 1990s? Talk to us.
It was a good number, man. Good number of dudes out there.
Who was the
Can't play.
best Long Island? Who has the best ever in Long Island? So we got two different answers that we pulled on screen right now. We got
Who
it.
has the best era on Long Island?
That was the best era. We had one gentleman, Bobby Brown, who is a graduate from North Babylon High School, just got
Okay.
it right before you. He said the
Okay.
80s. He said the 80s. He said, yeah, he said, man, they was getting it out the mud. There was no 3-point line most of the year. They was in there rocking out.
That's cute. But no, I mean he got a point. He got a point. He got a point. He got a
There's
point.
three
But
NBA guys in there too.
the game has changed so much, man. But from the '80s to the '90s, man.
In what way? In what way from the 80s to the 90s? I
I
think
mean,
it definitely
the three point
transformed
line
from.
could be one, but just moves in general. Like I remember the dude from Golden State with the funny name. He played in the early '90s.
Sharunas Marshallonis.
He was Euro stepping then.
He had a bag.
Wasn't nobody paying attention to it.
Sharunas Marshallonis from Lithuania.
He was Euro stepping then, bro. Wasn't nobody paying attention to it. Think about it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like just with that alone,
That alone.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's the dimension of the big man has changed.
In what way?
tremendously. You're not
In
just
what
sitting in
way?
there shooting the hooks, like it's just think about think about what Pat Ewing first came to the Knicks, right? What did he do? He was predominantly a defensive player, right?
Yeah,
But in all reality, he had two hook shots, right?
and one dribble dunks. Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
He got
Yeah.
into the early '90s and what? Turn around, shoot, jump shot, this and that, so pump figure. Evolution.
Evolution. So what about the
That's the point.
what about D Moore? What about the 2000s?
Ooh, talking my era now.
We right there. We
Talking
class
my
a
era
whole
now.
one. How all right, you overlooked that one. Or you didn't overlook it. You
Nah,
said
nah,
the
not at all.
1990s. What makes the 90s better than the 2000s? You got 3 NBA players from the 2000s, right?
Yeah,
You got you
but
got
it was
you
more.
got
I feel like, but
in there.
see, it was more competition, bro. It was war. Like the count. Like when I'm gonna say from what I seen and what I played against in high school, we wasn't really worrying about nobody else, bro. We wasn't really worrying about nobody else when it came to a county championship and like that. Them shits was war in the '90s, bro.
There was war
Like
in the
I'm gonna be real with you. My freshman year when we had to play D Green in Long Beach, and I watched them for the first time. I said, "Nah, this is real. Like this ain't no walk in the park. Like this ain't
not
no
apart.
no hell no. Like this is no walk in the park at all. Like we got to figure this out. Because like I told you, bro, his first play, he kind of like he was on a 2-on-1 and he kind of backpedaling and he kind of like dude on my team taller than him, bro, and he caught his shit on the glass. And I'm like, what the? Who is this kid, yo?
Yeah, who is this guy?
You know what I'm
So
saying? So
so
it's
you're
like it
basing
was. So I wasn't. It wasn't a guarantee we was gonna win the championship. That shit was no guarantee. Nah, man, because they was tough. No, Long Beach was tough that
Yup.
year. Um, we were good. It was a rebuilding year, but we still had young talent and everything like that. But everybody was good, man. Baldwin was good. Uniondale was good. Everybody was good. Good
Any,
enough.
anybody in the chat think otherwise other than the 80s? I know that I seen on our post earlier a few 70s. I seen say who likes the 70s as the best era? The 70s had a lot of people go Division One, a whole lot. However, for most of that decade, they wasn't playing each other. They wasn't playing the other county. They was playing mostly in their county, and then the playoff system wasn't there to
Did
where.
they, did they, did they even do seedings back then?
Oh man, this is how you feel. They
I'm being
did.
real. I'm asking you. I'm just asking the question. Did they even do seedings?
I see what you're saying. They did. They did. But I think like a lot of when they did do their playoffs, I think it was just one mashup. There wasn't a class. I think it was just they just the top. So that's also like a Royal Rumble type of a playoff system. They didn't have a class. It was just whoever survives this county is the county champ. And I want to say in like 75, they did the first Long Island championship, the crossover with Babylon and Southside. And Southside was the favorite. Babylon ended up beating these guys, but
So let me ask you a question. Let me
they
ask you a
didn't
question.
have the New York State one yet.
Let me ask you a question. How many teams was in the conference?
I don't know. This has to be researched. We need some help on that. We need some help on that. But we're not going to downplay the 70s
Oh no,
because
not at all. No, no. Listen, I wasn't born, but not at
I
all. Though.
wasn't born
Salute to
either,
them.
but
Whatever they have going on, salute to them. I can't make that debate. I only can tell you what I seen with my eyes.
absolutely. That's what
You know
makes
what I'm
it
saying?
beautiful. Then this is an educational piece as well because everybody has different experience. They were born at different times in different neighborhoods and they have different experiences. So I think this is why we're having conversations like this to kind of see and piece together a little bit of information from each person to be like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Because North Babylon actually beat Mount Vernon in like 77. It was like the introduction to what we would know of our playoff system. And they had Scooter McCray and Rodney McCray on there. And
Okay.
North Babylon got them. So that's a big one for Long Island beating Mount
Okay.
Vernon. So that was that
Yeah.
happened early in the 70s. I know they got Mitch Kupchak up in there. They had a couple of guys. They had a lot of guys to go Division One, St. John's and Notre Dame. Toby Knight played for the Knicks. He's from Port Jefferson, 6'9" dude, dunking everything. So
Okay.
they had some heat, but is
Hmm.
it enough to surpass the 80s, 90s, or 2000s? That's the question.
you know me, bro. I'm big on competition.
They
You know,
had good competition. They just didn't
I'm not saying.
expand out. They
No, I'm
didn't
not saying they
expand
did. I'm
out.
not saying they didn't have good competition. I'm saying it being spread out. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like if you got a conference full of 8 teams, right, and
Yeah.
only 2 of them teams gonna win, or 3 of them teams gonna have a chance to win, that's not really competition to me.
That's
But
not.
it's kind of like the NBA.
It's like the Bill Russell days. Is it that?
I wouldn't say I couldn't tell you nothing about
We
that.
can't. Well, he got 11 championships, and it gets bypassed by a lot of guys in the modern era because of what you said. We ain't talking too heavy on it. So far ago, and they're like, bro, you had like 8 teams in there.
Well, you can never really throw away his greatness from what he did in the time he did it. I'm
No,
not
you
that. I'm
can't.
not here to do that at all.
We're not.
You
We're not
definitely
gonna
have to
do
worship it.
that. Yeah, that's a fact.
But as far as just competition, I'm a person that you average 30 points a game don't mean nothing to me. Who you playing against me and everything. So if there's more competition, that's what I pay attention to. That's just me personally. You know what I'm saying? I don't really look at the makeup of like I said, there was some great players in the 80s, man. And I'm pretty sure some great players in the 70s.
It was.
Absolutely. I had
It
my
was.
cousin is Al Williams. He played ball. I hear nothing but stories about him. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? My neighborhood favorite named Denny Ray, Dennis Wilson. Great player. That's all I hear is stories about him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I get it. But the thing is, even with him, like a person like them, they never argue with me about errors. You know what I'm saying? Like, they watched the game evolve from what they used to play. So it's like, they respected it. They critiqued it, obviously, as a basketball mom. But, like, well, I know Al for a fact. Well, Al always stick with competition. If it ain't that's what matters to him.
I think you will have a lot of the older guys say that the competition starts to soften up over time.
He didn't in the 90s, clearly.
'90s was strong.
90s was strong, bro. From start to end, man. Start
Yes.
to end. I mean, like I said, like you think about it, even from where you was at with it, like from what I've seen with my own eyes,
Yeah.
90s was strong, bro.
I'm
90s
not.
was, and I'm not even talking from a Hempstead Tiger standpoint. I'm talking from an overall standpoint of talent that was out there.
Sean
Like it was
Kennedy.
some dudes that was
You
on it, bro.
got Sean Kennedy in there.
Sean Kennedy, man.
Sean
You
Kennedy.
know, even Sean Kennedy. What's the other guy named Jim Moran?
Jim Moran.
Uh,
Yeah, man.
you know,
Hernandez is in there.
yes, man. It's a boatload, man.
It's a boatload. I feel like it's a
It's a
boatload
boatload
from each one. Like for us, we're like in both of them. We're late '90s into early 2000s.
to a degree, yeah.
We are.
But
So
we come from that. But we come from that '90s cloth.
I agree.
Come from that '90s cloth. You understand what I'm saying? You look at things differently. Like it's what's around you, man. Like, but like I said, the '90s to me, how
Yup.
it really was. Like I heard stories about literally like my first daughters, right? My first daughter.
Yup.
My uncle is Billy Owens.
Yup.
I heard stories about him before I even met him.
Before you even met him.
Before I even met him.
His
So
name was ringing out.
it felt like I knew him already.
Yeah, you already know him. His name was ringing out already. And he's from another town.
Absolutely.
I got
Absolutely.
I
You know what I'm
got
saying? So it's things like that. Like I heard stories about him, uh, Charles Mann for years.
yeah.
Um,
Lyson.
Kyle was just telling you all the, like you hear them names and think about it. My town is egotistical, so we all talk smack to each other about everything in our eras. So we do it all the time, bro. We that like that. It's a certain kind of love we show, but we definitely talk smack.
Yeah.
But when somebody speak of you outside of us and they speaking about you highly, you're paraded, bro. Like they look at you, you got to be something special.
You gotta be something special.
You got to be something special, bro. That has somebody be like, yo, who's that?
Facts.
You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? Like, who's that?
And we had a
Yeah,
couple of guys. We had a couple of those guys in the '90s era, and we're missing a lot. So when we go back to whether we go back to this on live or I posted it earlier, and we had people talking in there. Name some names on who, because I think the criteria can be moved around quite a bit. You're looking at the high school, and then you're looking on who moved on to college and how well they did there, and you're looking at NBA and how well they did there.
absolutely. I mean, well, depending on however you want to look at it, because
Yes,
even
that's
my thing is this,
that's the
honestly,
beauty of it. Huh?
You made it to the NBA. First off, I think, all right, let's say if a person did have a great high school career, had a great college career, and you made it to the NBA.
Yeah,
Bro, you accomplished something that the 1% couldn't accomplish.
it's point
It's a,
production.
it's salute to, like, it's salute to you, bro.
Yeah,
To even being able to be a prospect,
yeah,
salute to you. Like, there's no downgrading to make it to the NBA. You know what an NBA contract look like
facts.
for the 15 man sit on the bench?
Yeah, especially now, dude.
Come on, bro. Like, what, man? You did it, man. You did it. That's why even like Mike, you did it, man.
He did it
You did it.
and had tenure in there.
Did you ever?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
And
saying? So yeah, man, like that's the if we talking about the I don't really look at that part of it as far as like NBA, but the college and the high
I
school
look at
part of
that.
it.
I feel like that. I think that holds more weight for me than maybe some for most. Because if you look at, and I brought up Dr. J.
Hmm.
Dr. J's name rings out not just on Long Island, but it's an iconic name.
Absolutely.
So he boosts his era. He boosts his era. Oh, he was there. It's a boost to his era, and most of his name was created, after in his pro career. In his pro
Okay.
career, that's when he was really becoming the person and the player that everybody knows him to. Is that fair to say?
For the most part, absolutely.
So that boosts his era. That boosts his era because he's in it, right? Right. We don't talk too much about his Roosevelt days. Not even that much about his UMass. You talk about his Rucker. You talk about his Rucker days more than his high school days.
But this the thing though, right? And it's back to what I was saying earlier. You had Dr. J, right? We can't even name the other three players that was under him or even close to him that was in rankings or anything in high school, right?
I can name a couple. There
Okay.
was another dude, Randy Smith. He was the MVP of the 70 something All Star game. He was an
Okay.
all world athlete from Belport.
Okay.
And remember, it's the '60s too. So some of the black guys, like, they wasn't getting the same recruitment and the love. You know what I'm saying? That you would get now, because it was a different time, and
Hmm.
especially with some of the media. So those guys weren't getting as much love. You had some of the other players, the other white players, that was getting a little bit more love at that time, and they didn't end up going to the NBA, but they had some good college careers. There's a couple of guys like that. Bruce went to St. John's and everything like that. But you got to kind of be a historian. You got to be an older gentleman for you to know that. Dr. J rings out, and then you have Randy Smith second, because he was the Iron Man for the NBA until
Okay.
until AC Green broke his record.
Okay, I got you. I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. So those
But
are
how
the
much
two names.
competition? So how much well, Dr. Day is he's a unicorn, so it's kind of different.
I
But
know, but he boosts his era. Yo, man, this
he
guy.
does. He does.
That's what I'm saying. An NBA player can boost their era. He can boost their era because he did it at the highest level. And if you get more people to go into the NBA from an era, that boosts your era. Like the 2000s got three guys, and then you got
Okay, so
Jason
you know
Frazier.
what?
Jason
This is
Frazier,
how this,
huh?
I got you. This is how I'm looking at it. That's why
Okay, talk to
I'm
me.
viewing it in a standpoint where you're saying basketball era in a whole package, not necessarily as far as just like high school and college.
That's how I'm interpreting it. I don't care how anybody else interprets it, as long as you can explain what you're looking at. Because a lot of people, when they say Long Island basketball, they stop it at high school. Like, this is what we're talking about. When they was here in their school uniform, what was they doing? And then and it can be valid. Yeah, like at this time we had a plethora of guys cooking in their high school uniform. When they got to college, you know what I'm saying, stuff happened, right?
Hmm.
I ain't tripping that far past it. But when we was saying these guys were this talented, but for me, I kind of like to level it off, and I think there's a certain point that you can add to each level, and I
Hmm.
think you got to factor that in. For me, there has to be a factoring in of guys getting from that school uniform to the highest level.
Got you. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that for me, that's there's some validity in that. You can't bypass, because that's what everybody's thinking, especially any good player. Can I make it to that league? Can I make it to the NBA? Can I make it to the NFL, MLB? So that if you make it like that, and you got guys from that era, from Long Island making it to that, I think it boosts the era. I do. The
Yeah.
'90s got two guys for sure, but then they got like you said, they got a bunch of dogs all the way through the era in high school. Bunch of them from all different schools, from all
Hmm.
different schools. Guys scoring a lot of points, right? But the 2000s do too. You got the Chris Barbers of the world, right? You got Tyrone Nash in there,
Hmm.
right? You got some other heavy hitters up in there.
Absolutely. No, I'm not. Listen, they're definitely there. It's still some of the 2010s. Like I said, they're there, but from having the eye test, just peeking around and looking around and seeing for what it was,
The '90s for you.
just wasn't the same to me. Not the this caught, and once again, the evolution took another step as well.
So did it evolve from the '90s to the 2000s in the way that you're saying right there, or not as much for you?
Well, honestly,
Yeah,
hmm,
that's a good question for you.
it definitely did. As far as once again, just big man play. As far as big man play, like it became a. Think about this. When Mike was playing, right? I think at one point in time, Mike was. I think Gilbert Arenas said on his show. He said the only person that was scoring 20 points a game at point guard position at one point in time when he was an All Star was Mike James,
Yeah,
right? Now you figure how many high caliber point guards they had that year that run that time. You can't be serious, but it's true. So my thing is scoring became a thing of point guards. To now what? It's a point guard league now. It's a point guard driven league now.
you. It's the point guard is a scoring threat more so than an assist man. Like it's a if you're scoring and you can get a 6 assists while scoring, you're a point guard. So before it was like I'm going to sacrifice 6 to 7 shots like Mark Jackson. I'm going to sacrifice 6 to 7
Mark
shots.
Jackson, Chris
Yeah,
Paul,
yeah.
that that
That's
that
not,
prototype point guard, eventually became first of you got to be 6'5" to be a point guard.
yeah, they want the
They
tall
don't
guy.
even want you 6'2", 6'2", 6'3". That's over. Unless you got a 40-inch vertical, that's over.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So the whole game has evolved.
I agree
Me and
with
you
that.
argue about Jokic all the time. Look what's going on.
Look what's going on. Look what's going on.
It's scary, bro. It's scary.
That's valid. That's
You know what I'm
valid.
saying? So the evolution is like you can't really. I don't know, bro. It's I enjoy it still, but sometimes it's a little off because I feel like they shoot too many threes now. But
Yeah, let's
who am
talk
I to
about it. We can find
who am I to speak on what's going on today? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they probably looked at when we played, like why y'all in the post or whatever the case may be. But like they said, the game evolves. It's more of a done, and it's crazy because even the thing that they do now, as far as shooting all these threes, Don Nelson would have had a system like that when he had Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki back in the day, back in the '90s, and he wasn't winning with it.
and Rick Pitino did it too in the '80s with the Bomb Squad with the Knicks,
Hmm.
but it was an inside-out game still. Unless
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying,
Chris, what's up, bro? How you, man?
you still had a big pivot. Hey, anybody in the chat, like, can you type in something? Are you seeing anything? Type in, man. I can't see anything. Anybody?
D-Bell, where you go, bro?
Yeah, see if anybody's
I
typing.
see you. You could come in, man.
Who's that talking?
I see Chris Calabrese. He went to Long Beach. He used to do his thing.
He's trying to tap in. Yeah, we can get another
I'm not,
personality in
I'm not
here.
sure if that's happening or not.
So, um, yeah, I can't see anybody's. I don't see anybody's. Yeah, talk to me, somebody. I can't see anybody's. What's the word I'm trying to say? Nobody's type. Can't see anything. You're right. You're right though. Like, there's a different. Now, who's responsible for this? Is it just a? I know analytics has come into play a lot because D Moore, you was a 6'5", do it all type of a guy, but you know, what I'm saying, like your role was limited. If it was now, you would really be doing everything. You were probably playing the 1 through 5 way more, shooting the three ball and everything like that.
Absolutely. That's
So
the game today. That's what I'm saying. So I can't really knock it.
now,
But like I said, it's evolving.
I think it's the best time to hoop, but it's also might be the most selfish time to hoop. Everybody's trying to just get theirs. Is that fair to say?
I agree because of the fact of the matter that I feel like everybody don't have their own niche or craft no more. Prime example, you got a coach like Pop. Popovich drafts off of what he needs, not the best talent. I feel like everybody just takes the best talent and tries to figure something out. When you got coaches that don't draft off of that, Miami Heat don't draft off of that. Paul, what was his name before? They fired my man from Utah. I was my guy.
Hold on, we got somebody else trying to tap in. Let's see. Can we get him in there? Let's see. Let's get some a fresh perspective in there. Yeah. Bobby Brown.
Yeah, I'm back, man. My phone died on me, man. My bad.
Yeah.
Bobby B.
What's good, baby? How you?
I'm living, man. I can't complain.
That's all we can do.
Hey, so Bobby Brown. What year did you graduate from North Babylon, sir?
86.
86. And we got Deshaun Moore, class of 01 from Hempstead. So we got myself, Amityville, class of 01.
He a YN, huh? He a young dude, huh?
All right, we younger than you, but I got some gray in my beard, so we kind of go between forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of the go between.
Yeah, I heard y'all chopping it up about the errors.
Yeah, he said the 90s, said the 80s, and nobody, we got nobody co-signing the 70s or the 2000s.
The 70s was the beginning of as far as Long Island basketball.
Yeah, we talking Long Island basketball, man, and then what got
the
next
70s.
level.
The 70s, towards the end of the 70s, really started. High school basketball get recognized on Long Island towards the end, 75, 76, and on.
That's fair.
Once the 80s came, we kind of took off. We had, Bellport was rocking it. I heard you said something about Randy Smith. They also had David Russell that was out there.
Absolutely. He went to St. John's.
And he got drafted by Denver in the second round.
Okay.
So,
we got to give my guy. We got to get this young guy, Deshaun Moore. We got to give him some history.
So they
talk to him, Bobby. Like I said, man, he's a young guy, man. Talk to this guy.
Now that's how it's supposed to go, though, man. They imagine, whatever Michael Jordan be making this if he signed a contract this year. LeBron making $52 million this year.
Mm-hmm.
So they on the back of what people did we're on the back of what people did. My years, what they did in the 70s, we built on it in the 80s and 90s, stepped it up, and it just kept, kept going and going. But
absolutely,
yeah, that's just what it is. That's how it works, man. Game gets better and better. People get bigger and stronger as the year. They got more equipment now. Like I remember in high school, man, I barely worked out, man, to be honest with you, man.
We didn't work out, man. Our weight room was probably
we didn't either.
Closet. We didn't work out. There was no working out. It was just all heart and determination and talent.
Sprints, and that was about it, man. It was that, man. 5-on-5, let's run.
Man, we ain't even do that. We come in.
Y'all wasn't in the weight room at Hempstead, D Moore?
Bro, we come in there talking smack what happened in school, play fight, eat Chinese food, do a shoot around drill. Coach A be like, listen, man, we don't need all that. You scrimmage to get your run in. And that's what we did. We scrimmaged for hours. But I ain't gonna lie, those were some of the best times, bro.
Yeah.
I love Hempstead.
I love Hempstead, but I hate Hempstead, man. I love him and hate him at the same time.
You don't love it.
What happened?
It was a thorn in my side going through high school, man. We couldn't catch these fools, man. We couldn't beat these fools.
Yeah,
we beat them
once. That's
a
lot of people's story.
Yeah, we beat them once in '82. That's when we went to the States. We beat them in the Long Island Championship game.
Brandon James was on that team, right?
Huh?
Brandon James was on that team?
Exactly, yes. Barry Bookhart.
Fuzzy Cross?
That was Dr. J's nephew. You knew that, right?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, Barry Bookhart. Yeah, he was on that squad.
Okay.
And Yeah, that's what we beat them that year for Long Island Championship. We end up winning the states. But then we played again in '80, my senior year. That's when Hempstead was balling. They was number 7 in the country.
What year is
Yeah.
this? What year is this?
86,
It's 85,
87,
86.
86.
86. Right, that's Rob
Yeah.
Moore and them.
Yeah, that's Rob and George and them, yeah.
Gator, George, Alfred, Warren Stiff. A couple of dudes that Kyle was naming.
Brian Prince was a freshman, I think.
Brian Prince, yeah.
We ended up losing by 2 in the Long Island Championship game. 71-69.
Oh, you right there.
You know, Scoop Yola.
So the 80s was tough, and we had some teams from
I'm sorry, but yeah, so then the following year, we were supposed to beat Hempstead. We went right back at it along with Richie Branch. That's my boy. And
Bobby, hold on. What makes you think y'all were supposed why was y'all supposed to beat Hempstead?
Ah, here we go.
Because we was better.
Oh, so you thought.
We was better that year. There was more experience in the playoff. But we was a better team.
Oh, okay.
Who won that game?
And that means a lot. That means a lot to have the experience of how to win a big game.
Rocket, what's up, bro?
Hempstead knew how to do it because they'd been there before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying y'all was bad. No, y'all was good. Y'all was
no,
good
I
as hell.
you said you got better. That's cool. I get it.
Yeah, so.
They got better. I get it.
Years. So they've been, I've been going back and forth with this Hempstead thing for a while, man.
I see what you're doing, D-Moore. After that Hempstead stuff. Right?
He got a control, bro.
I see what he's doing over there. Y'all supposed to be better, but they get done.
He said, yeah, we supposed to win. Like what? Yeah. Supposed to?
Yeah. Did we win?
No, because I'm basing that on from the year before. We weren't supposed to have a chance to beat y'all. We were supposed to get blown out by 20. Y'all was the number 7 in the country. We was just, y'all was 7 in the nation. And so we kept on the game, and it came down to the last minute.
Those are the games you're supposed to wake up for, honestly.
It came down to the last. Yeah.
Nah, they was tough though, man. They was tough. They definitely was the. I hear that. I didn't heard that since I was about 14. Oh, you ain't did nothing. They was number 6 in the country, and knock it off, man. They had a paper in their pocket, and come on, bro. Nobody want to hear that. You ain't doing nothing. Young whippersnapper, like it's crazy.
They didn't get the dub, so y'all wasn't better.
Yep, sir.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it. That is the point blank. Y'all didn't get the dub, so Hempstead moves on.
That's all. Yeah.
And they was dominant. So we had Bridgehampton was doing their numbers in the 80s, right?
Oh,
they was cooking in the 80s. And then we go into the night. Yeah, this is a very compelling argument, the 90s and the 80s, because you got big dogs as teams and you got big dogs as players throughout the whole era too. You got Shelby Jones from Amityville holding it down. He was an All-American. So you got some big names in the 80s, right? You got Vasco Eftimov in the 90s. He was a big name.
Oh my God. Yo, he averaged 20 rebounds, bro.
Yeah, I mean, he played. What was that? That was the same McDonald game with Kobe.
Okay.
That's a big deal. Yeah, so we got to give you
20 rebounds, bro. Yeah, that's the model was a beast, man.
Yeah, 20 rebounds out there. You know?
Beast.
Yo, the story with Bridgehampton is so incredible because they were so nice at what they did. They pressed, they just ran up and down the court the whole game. But it was only like 20 boys in the whole school.
Yeah, they got a whole.
That's the crazy point.
Yeah,
the graduating class was like 45 people. So, and for them to do that and be dominant about
How you feel about that?
That's crazy.
What happened?
That's crazy.
What happened? What happened? I'm just curious. What happened?
The Bridgehampton program, man. That's a very, very interesting program. They was beating some of the big dogs, but they was running through Class D.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, listen, this is my thing. It's not their fault. Okay, listen, the tortoise beat the hare sometimes. It happens.
Bro, they beat Hempstead, bro.
Tortoise beat the hare a few times.
They caught him up. You know
what I'm saying? But not to take nothing away from any of them, Bridgehampton, Westhampton, They put it in, bro.
Yes,
They
they
put it
did.
in. Nothing against their history or nothing, man. Like, like it's salute to them. That's not their fault that they're in that class.
Nah.
Is that class a little easier? Let's be realistic. Of course. But
Yeah.
like I said, once you go upstate, that doesn't that's out the window. The talent is there.
And they was killing them.
And they was cooking. They had seasons where they didn't lose. So and I remember going up there my
Yeah.
freshman year and we went upstate. And when they played, they had this dude that was on Bridgehampton that was killing. Um, he was tough. He was tough. He was valid. I was teasing Latif about it. Like, I don't think you can check him. I think
Right.
he's a cookie, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was tough, man. He was tough. I'm not gonna say he was tough, but salute to them, man. Salute to them. But like,
So D Moore, we not
yeah,
even going to touch the 2010s and the 2020s. It's over. Is it over?
nah, it's not over. That's honestly, from what I've been seeing,
We know
Suffolk
Lou.
has been real dominant.
We know
Suffolk has
Lou.
been real dominant
We know
in that department.
Lou has been a juggernaut by himself. And
All the kids are going to private schools
private.
now.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing
that's
that's
nationwide.
drop off us now. You know what
That's
I'm saying? So
nationwide. So do we factor that in? Because these guys have like 4 or 5 All-Americans on the same team. Are we discounting that era because it's just that one-sided right now?
it is what it is. You can't discount it. They on Long Island.
I know, but what about the other guys? Because a lot of the other guys are not getting recruited, especially now. They're not going to the Division I level because of you got the transfer portal. You got a lot of other moving pieces. Do these guys, some of these guys that are at the public schools now, would they have gotten picked up 20 years ago when scholarships and the transferring rules was different, in your opinion?
Well, the whole dynamic of the
Well, that's
sport is different.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic. That's a
The
fact.
dynamic of the
yeah, the
sport
whole
is
thing
different.
changed now.
Go ahead, Bob. Go ahead, Bob. You can.
Yeah, that's what I reached on earlier about AAU, AAU taking over the basketball. Like people don't really are not impressed with what you do in your high school team. Like your high school team ain't really nothing to anybody anymore. Like it's what you do on the AC or AAU circuit. It's what counts nowadays. That's how you get your numbers. That's how
But
you
is
get your
that a
bread.
bad? But is that a bad thing?
It's a bad thing because you probably miss a couple of blue chips that are playing high school ball that didn't get the chance to grow. Like everybody don't come out a star all the time.
True.
Some people grow into being that person. They might not have grew. 12th grade might have been the year they started getting that game right. First year of college when they figured it out. And
True.
then,
But you know
but
what?
they don't get the chance
So let
because
me ask you a question. If Bob, if I gave you a job at St. John's, right, and you the head coach, right, and your job, I'm paying you $100,000 a year. Your job is to get the best talent available in this program, right? You're not going to
right.
work with a kid that might be developing or this and that and so forth. You're going to get the best talent that's out there, correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna get the best talent, but I'm also gonna circulate through the school to fill out my team because that makes my team better. When you got a bunch of superstars, all superstars that want the ball at the same time, you usually don't win. That's my opinion. So the lower high school people that are in high school that can fill out your roster, the ones that do that did at OKC, those are the people that's in high school now. They doing that. That's where
I
they
got you.
at.
I can't. I can't.
So
I mean,
that's just my opinion. That's not what.
no, I get it. I get that's what you. I get it. But from my experience, from actually doing it,
That's gonna get
like,
that's gonna
Yeah.
get you fired, Bobby Brown.
I'm trying to tell them, man. Like, listen,
In
Bob, I swear to you, like
2025, that's gonna get you
the
fired, dude. Like
my
they
my
gonna
first
flame
my
you up
first my
on
first
Twitter,
my first ever letter came from I think his name was what's his name, Paul Hewitt. That was the coach at Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Okay.
But he was at Iona at the time, right? So in the midst of that, you know, Iona's a cool school, whatever. But I'm maybe I think I'm in ninth grade, maybe or something like that. So we played. I don't know if you remember him. You guys remember him? Remember Eddie Griffin, Tim Thomas Players?
Yes, of
Big Eddie
course.
Griffin that went to Seton Hall. He played for the Tim Thomas Players,
Oh yeah,
right?
with the shit. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I
this is
remember him.
so around this time, Omar Cook was playing Riverside Church. They won. They just finished beating some team from like Missouri or something like that. So we played them. So I think Eddie, mind you, I'm 6'5", soaking wet, maybe 190 pounds. But my
Okay.
big man got in trouble, and I had to guard him. He had about 20. Didn't do me too bad. He had about 20, but I had 15 and 10 rebounds at 6'5", and show no fear. I came back to 3 whole college letters. It turned my life completely around.
Yup.
Letters that I wasn't even
Okay.
expecting, DePaul, etc. And sometimes I feel like it depends on who you play.
Yup.
It depends on who you
That's
play.
true. True.
It depends on who you play,
Definitely.
and that's when that mentality came in. Like, listen, if you think if this is the best, what you do against the best, and you average yourself out realistically, not being, we got to be realistic when it comes to this. How real am I? If I'm that, you got to take that. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just what it's really
Got
that
you.
simple. It's really that simple.
That
It's a
simple
locked
is
in mindset. And like I said, it's
Right.
basketball players and there's people that play basketball. That
Yeah.
ball is life T-shirt, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what.
So
Yeah, I agree 100%.
it's life, man. It could be life. It could be life, and it could change your life too. But at the same time, like I get what you're saying, though. I totally understand what you're saying. Some people are late bloomers that get things wrong, but I don't know how many late bloomers in the NBA, bro.
now
Ain't too
what
many.
it's a different
Yeah.
landscape that you guys are saying. What Bobby is talking about is 20 years in
Give
the
me 1 second, fellas.
yeah. Bobby, what you're saying is 20 years in the past. Is is
Right.
is
Okay.
is,
Yeah,
the, is grabbing some of
I'm going
the
for
late
my era.
bloomers and then let them develop, and you can use them in their junior, and you can redshirt them and use them in their junior senior year. These guys are now making money. The players are making more money than some of the coaches. So they're like, we're going to jump in this transfer portal because there's no penalty for that. So I'd rather take a Bobby Brown, who's a junior, and just transferred in from, what I'm saying, he transferred in from Minnesota, and he was cooking over there. He was unhappy. So now I'm going to pull him over here at the University of Kansas because I know what he was doing on the college level. That's what it's going to now, as opposed to pulling
Right.
Bobby Brown from North Babylon, who I don't quite know if they're going to really be rocking at this level. I don't know. So
I
that
got you.
that player now is going to a low D1 or a high D2.
I got you. I
And,
got you.
and then they get in their numbers, and then they reevaluate the following year. If Bobby Brown goes and cooks at a high level at a high D2, and he's player of the year, and he got averages 25. Now you'll get some of these other big fish to pull you up because I seen
I
what
got
you
you.
can do at that level. That's the thought process now. I'm not saying that it's great, but we're saying that's what it is right now. We're back in the day.
That's what works.
Yeah, that's what's working right now because these guys are trying to save their job, and a lot of the players are trying to make as much money as possible. So guys are staying in college longer to get the NIL money. So
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna take
Yo,
a
you think
22-year-old. I'm gonna take a 22-year-old over an 18-year-old question mark.
okay.
Unless you,
You
unless
think
go ahead.
you think the agents all in all are about to be extinct?
Agents.
Agents, yeah, the agents. Like back in the days, agents controlled
That's a good.
everything.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if they'll be fully extinct, but I think that their role will be diminished by a lot because of these supermax deals that are going on. That these guys, once you kind of know that you're in that supermax category, there's not much negotiation that needs to be done. Uh,
Right.
but I still think that there'll probably be a role for them just off the legal jargon, right? Like the verbiage in the contract. Like
Okay. I got.
you'll still need somebody unless they attach some type of AI to it. You know what I'm saying? You still need somebody to be able to break down this contract to make sure that it's valid and it's in my favor and they're not doing me dirty because we can't read a
Oh,
contract it's like a lawyer type thing. So I think just off of the strength of that, they'll be around unless you get, like I said, some type of AI assistance in that category. but I do think the
Hmm.
role is going to be diminished a lot unless you're like bottom half of a roster player to try to negotiate
Okay.
money. I think if you're a starter, there's not so much reason for you to have one as much. You're going to be making $25 million plus,
All right. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, 100%.
and you
Yeah, I
don't got to
got you.
give them, and you don't got to give them their 3 to 4%.
Right. That's the thing. Yeah. Keep that to yourself. Keep that for myself,
I
man.
keep
Yeah.
that for myself. You might negotiate, maybe an extra million, but I know where I'm at based on the market, and I already know where I'm going to settle in at, and it's going to be a big amount. So I don't really need you to negotiate, but I need somebody. You might be able to just pay somebody to take a look at your contract for a cheaper price, and then pocket the rest. Pocket the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. 100%.
What else
Um,
we got? What else we got, Bobby? Why I got you on here, man? What's another topic that was on your mind? How do you like in
I
this Long
wonder,
Island days, man? Real quick.
I'd like it. I like it. What I want to do, though, I want to try to get my oldest daughter on here one time. She's a
What we got?
D3 coach in Florida,
Okay.
basketball coach at St. Thomas University. She recruiting right now, so maybe
Put
she can
up,
get on here and
put
chop
up,
it up on
put up, put up, put a
how the
post up.
recruiting process is going now, especially being at D3 school. So
Put a post up for her, man, so we can show her some love off. What I'm saying, off the strength of Long Island basketball history, and then that'll be a topic that we can take a look at. What I'm saying,
okay,
later down the line. Just trying to revisit
right.
and get some more engagement. What I'll do is probably jump on this live maybe like once a week type thing, and we can have this open Q&A.
Sounds good.
Pull a couple of
I'm sorry,
people on.
fellas.
Yeah, no problem. Pull a couple people on. So I was telling them,
Nah,
D-More,
but no.
I was telling
Go
them,
ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
D-More, yeah, I was telling them that we probably do this maybe like once a week to where we can jump on here. Yeah, we got Hall saying what happened to the best era. Who you got, Hall? We can go back into that. Well, I haven't seen anybody really throwing anything in there as far as their picks. We got Deshaun Moore who stayed in the 90s. We got
Yeah, I'm saying with my 80s. I'm saying with my
80s.
80s.
I'm leaning
Yeah,
towards the 2000s.
yeah. My man Bob standing on his ground. You said 2000s?
I'm leaning towards the 2000, man. We got the Amityville beat LeBron James in that era. That's pretty strong. You got teams going out and playing national schedules. Amityville played a national schedule. That's pretty compelling. You said be the best player. You can't get much better. You can't get much better
Yeah,
than LeBron James in high school. And
No,
you
you
had
can't.
yeah, he
you
had a
had
lot
you
more.
had
He
you
had a
had
lot
a,
more exposure.
you had
Even if
A lot more exposure.
even if you went to Laney and beat Michael Jordan in high school, it still ain't big enough,
Right.
oof.
right, Tristan?
I don't know about that, bro. That I don't know. LeBron was a big deal. He was a big.
I tell you,
And I'm stating it lightly. He was a big deal, bro. To get a win as a public school against him in the 2000s, man, that brings the era up a lot. St. Mary's was very good, right?
Yeah, they was.
St. Mary's was very
it's fine.
good, right? You got Tobias Harris. I think he was a Gatorade Player of the Year. Jason
He
Frazier was
was
a Gatorade Player of the Year. All three of them got
crazy.
All-American. Jason Frazier without the injuries and most likely going straight to the NBA. I mean, going into the draft, he's in the NBA. So
Listen, bro,
those
I
people,
played.
Chris
Yo,
Barber was. I'm a fan of Chris Barber. He was lighting things up.
yo, Bob,
Two
Yeah.
two two
you
Holloway,
hear
two
me?
Holloway, two Holloways towards the back half of that.
Yo, Tristan, remember Tyson Chandler?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, I do.
I played against Tyson Chandler, right? AAU ball, right?
Yeah.
After I played against Jason, because they mimic each other to a degree, but then they don't.
Now he's a lot more. He is a lot more mobile than Jason. He has a different fluidity to him.
Bro, Jason is still, he was better than Tyson Chandler, bro, in high school. Reason I say that, because of his IQ level. It's the way he did things, bro.
What do we call Jason? And you hit it the
Oh,
nail.
man, you hear personally all the time. Model day Bill Russell, by far.
Modern day Bill
Far,
Russell. I think that's
by
the
far,
that's
by
that's who
far.
he is. So
I
he's in the
played against Eddie
2000s.
Curry. I played against a lot of bigs, man. Somebody that controls the game. It doesn't have to score a million points.
What ever is he?
completely.
What ever is he in?
He's 2000.
Come on, man. So come on.
I'm just being listen though, man. Well, you know what? I got you down. I didn't play him in the 2000s.
Huh?
I didn't play him in the
Yes, you
2000s.
did. You now I got receipts. You're not telling the truth here, dude. We got one at the Christmas tournament in December of 2000.
You got that. You got that one. You got that one. You
we
got
got
that
we
one.
got, we got we played y'all 98, 99, and 2000. So we started off and you went upstate in 2021 and y'all beat Ben Gordon and Mount Vernon. That's a
Yeah.
2000 win.
Yeah.
That's a 2000.
Yeah.
We're class of '01, so we started it off. So I'm
Yo, do you
I'm
I hear
saying,
your
bro,
argument.
y'all remember hearing the Ramil Robinson?
yeah, from
Ramiro Robinson. I
Michigan.
heard that name before.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
played
he
and he
ended up
played in
going
the
to
NBA.
Michigan. They played Seton Hall in the championship game
Yes, with Terry
Okay.
the
back in I think '89. They played. I think they played in '89.
Okay. I
yeah, I
definitely remember
remember
that
those.
name.
I
Think it
remember,
gets
I remember
boxes.
those
What
guys.
it is. Excuse my language.
What you
Yo,
said?
I wanted to fight him.
You
Oh,
want
he
you
was
wanted
trying
to
to
Oh, you
fight
want
him?
punk
to
me,
fight him.
man, for real. Yeah, I wanted to throw him up. He was trying to punk me for real, man. Yo, he little. Oh man, that just popped in my mind. I don't know
All right,
why,
yeah, you gotta be easy, bro. You went off topic. You bro, remember he ain't from not from Long Island. But I'm
yeah,
going
I'm
with
just saying it just popped in my mind.
I think I'm leaning to the 2000s, man. I think I'm leaning to the 2000s because now you're playing a little bit more national. You got teams being a little bit more national with it because now you have you have guys on TV. You have a lot more fluidity in the AAU. You got teams sponsored by teams, so you're getting more of that action. You're getting more of that
Right.
action than in the past. But I'm cool with all of you guys' answers. I don't think there's a wrong answer, man. I think that's the beauty of it, and I think that's the cool part about Long Island basketball that it's been strong for some decades now, and that's one of the main
Yeah.
reasons why we're having this page. You feel me?
Right. Yeah, no doubt. The errors is good. That's just when people go back and talk about whose error was better.
There's
It's
no
just
wrong
the
answer.
era you grew up in. It's the era you grew up in. Of course, you're gonna back that era. You're gonna say that was the best. That's just the way it is, man. You're gonna.
I'm cool with. I
Rep-
have no problem. I have no problem with going back and saying one of the '80s or the '90s is good because you know what I'm saying. I don't have any ego in this thing, man. I like to celebrate as many people as possible, and I'm looking at it, and I think there's a lot of ways you can look at it and pick one ever or another for many different reasons. For many different reasons. I just look
okay.
because I see three NBA players right off top when I see the 2000s. I see AJ Price, I see Tobias,
Okay.
and I see Danny Green. Danny Green is a five-time NBA champion, and he won through high school, and he was an All-American,
Yeah.
right?
I got who I got in mind. I got Googs.
You got Googs, you got
I got Bill Williams. I got Bill
you got Bill
Wennington.
Wennington. Bill Wennington played a major role for the three-peat, and
Yeah, he got rings. He got rings.
he played with Michael
And
Jordan.
we got my boy Shelton who's in the slam dunk contest.
My guy Shelton from my hometown.
So that's three right there. We got Kenny Atkinson.
Did Kenny Atkinson play in the NBA? We know he's a coach, and he was a big time
I
coach.
think he put. I think you know what? You might be right. Well, Billy Donovan
You
did.
got Billy Donovan, who's in the Hall of Fame, right? That's a big one because
So
he made the Hall of
yeah,
Fame. That's in the coaching department.
he's in the '80s. So that's four for us right there.
Yeah, y'all cooking with fish grease right now.
Yeah, that's four for us right there.
That's
So
all you guys
I
right.
I got to
I
think
look
a
at
little
I
more. I
look
might
at
be missing somebody.
I look at Jason Frazier. I look at Jason Frazier as pretty much being an NBA pro. He was a shoe-in, man. He had the injuries, but we can say that about a bunch of guys. But he was that big a deal in high school, and for him to have a stamp of probably the best regular season or biggest win in probably Long Island history when his team in '02 beat LeBron in high school. Like,
Okay.
you really don't even see that type of matchup, from a Long Island team to be able to play
No.
in a situation like that, let alone get the W.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Right?
true.
I think he has a handful of losses in his whole career, and they're all to the Oak Cliffs of the world. I mean, excuse me, the Oak Hill Academy. I mean, I'm in Dallas, Dallas area, Dallas, Texas. So there's an Oak Cliff area. So excuse me for that. We're talking about Oak Hills and all of these different types of teams right there. For
Yeah.
Inter to go and play LeBron, because they had to beat. I think they beat St. Benedict's. They beat St. Benedict's first. They beat St. Benedict's.
Do
They
they have a jersey?
Yeah, they played in Delaware. It was a monster tournament. We played in Delaware.
Okay.
We got another 80s guy. I know Bart gonna say 80. He better say 2000s. We got I was talking to him about why I say the 2000s, bro, and he brought up Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan played in the 80s is strong, bro. The 80s
Oh,
the 80s is strong.
Yeah, we have 4 so far that went to the league.
They got the 80s is strong. The 80s is really
but,
strong.
but this is my thing. If we just base it off of people making it to the league,
No. I didn't bring it down to just that.
that's what it's seeming
But
like
that
y'all both doing.
Nah, that's not what I
but
just said.
that yeah,
That's not what I
but that
just said.
definitely boosted your era up though. That definitely
It do
boosted your
boost your
era up.
era. If you got a dude that's in the Hall of Fame of their basketball, but he's a coach, but he was doing his numbers in high school and college, that definitely boosts up there. You
No,
don't get that.
absolutely, absolutely,
Billy Donovan's
absolutely,
in that era.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Billy Donovan's in that era. So
That's a
so
He
fact.
was a Knicks. He played for the Knicks.
who's that?
He played for the New York Knicks. He was a Knicks
Who's in it?
for
Billy
about a
Donovan.
year and a half. Donovan.
Billy Don. Oh, see, so I mean, dang, that's even crazy. Oh, somebody.
Yeah, he was a
We got Speedy. They said Speedy Clash. What we talking about? Speedy's Christ the King, but he's a Hempstead guy. What we doing with that?
Okay, from Hempstead. See, I didn't
All
know
right,
that. I didn't know
all right,
that.
this is the thing. I'm gonna be real about that. See, see, people
What
go crazy
we
with
doing
it.
with that?
He's from Hempstead. I've met him before. I know his brother Mike more than I know him.
Yeah.
Um, for a fact, I know they from East Elmhurst. As far as born, they wasn't born in Hempstead. Um, Maybe the sister was, or the ones that were behind him. Him definitely. He definitely was born in Queens. Reason I know that is because of the fact of the matter that my college coach coached him when he was little in Queens.
So he's
You know
not
what I'm
really
saying?
valid. He's not
So
super
so he was
valedictorian.
when did he come to Hempstead? I couldn't tell you. Maybe he came when he was 10 years old, possibly. I'm not sure, but I know for a fact. He was born in Queens. He wasn't born in Hempstead.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So people get that misconstrued. Not to take anything away from it. Like he's a listen. Speedy is it. I seen like Speedy is that dude, and I'll definitely if he wearing the Hempstead card, I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? But
Did he play for Golden? Who he played for? Golden State.
he played for Golden State. He played for the Spurs. He played for
He got a title
the
Okay.
with the Spurs.
Atlanta. He played for Atlanta. That's what he. You know what I'm saying? He if he didn't get hurt, and Speedy was another point guard that was a great. Oh, he was special. Speedy was special. Speedy used to cook St. John's.
Speedy
I
did
don't know
play.
if
He played his
you,
college basketball on
Yeah.
Long Island.
Your
he
D.
used to cook. He used
Your,
to cook
your
St. John's when they had Eric Barkley and what was that dude they had over there? They had a couple of dudes over there. Him and Berto Gibbons, I think his name was. That was
Roberto.
his power
Roberto.
forward.
Yeah, Roberto.
You'll see how you with your Hempstead history.
Yeah.
How
So
are you with
nobody's
your
touching
Hempstead
the
history?
2000. We not really touching the
You
2000. I don't
remember?
know that many players from the 2010s and the 2020. Because if it goes to 2020s, we're really just going to camp out at Luha. You got Edgecombe and
Oh
Cayenne.
yeah. So
Like we're just going to hang out with Luha basketball versus like Long Island. So transform that
But
much.
but who fault is that for the like for the all right for the
Whose fault is
dynamics of
it?
it how it is now, right? Who
Yeah.
who fault is that?
Whose fault is that? I think that's a heavy topic because I think it's a domino effect of now you're looking at money and the ability to make money quicker. So
always.
Yeah,
It's always
you
money.
have NIL money. That's a lot closer to you if you come to this program. If you come to this program,
Bottom line, it's
especially
always
in
bread.
Asheville, come
And
over
not for
here.
nothing, and not for nothing, you got to remember a lot of kids, like you said earlier, Bob, got looked over for one, and didn't get the opportunities that they deserved to get. You know what I'm saying? So they went elsewhere. So when that dynamic starts, it's like the transfer pool now in college basketball.
Right.
They'll move every year if they have to. But you know what? I'm cool with that because you know what? As long as that kid is comfortable with that decision he made, and it might work out for him. If it don't work out for him, he tried. But at the same time, to have somebody have a hold on your career, it's not a good thing. Because sometimes a lot of these dudes, it be a lot of dudes, bro, that don't get the attention that they're supposed to get and need.
I know that's it. We going
True.
that's a topic that deserves its own deserves its own show because it swung from here to all the way over there. Right. There's no gray area. You got guys that probably a year out and they'll transfer just off the strength they feel disrespected. But you gotta look at who's in front of you. Like, yo, this dude is a pro. He leaving. Like, stay there. You got to
Absolutely.
get messed up. But they're like, nah, I'm leaving, and they leave at by Christmas. They out, and now you kind
Hmm.
of around because the portal. Not everybody get picked up in the portal. You can't.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be hard to go back. You be like, yo, I was just playing, man. I'm trying to come back. They're like, nah, we don't filled your spot, brother. So
You
you
know
Yeah, a
gotta
what?
lot of
you
people.
gotta be realistic with yourself and understand how this thing goes. But I do like the flexibility.
What is hard to ask a kid to make that decision?
No, it's the support
You know
system.
what I'm saying?
It's the support system. The support system it has to be because you're trying to mold this young man, even the young lady. You're trying to mold this young athlete to be a good decision maker, but they're not quite mature enough yet, right? This is where the support system helps, and this is where you get a lot of support system that take advantage.
I can
Yeah, they're
name.
gonna be a lot of kids. A lot of kids are gonna get burnt, man. Just like
Yeah.
it's just the same as in the 80s when a lot of kids. You remember Darius Miles and them went straight to from high school to
Absolutely.
Spurs. They wasn't,
Absolutely.
they was good, but they wasn't ready for the league. They wasn't ready for the NBA lifestyle.
Absolutely
It's
not.
the same thing. People that go to college, they're not. A lot of them are not growing up. They don't know. You throw money at them at a 17-year-old, and they get lost. Some of them get lost, man, and it's gonna affect a lot of people. I think
But you could
with
flip it
with
though.
a lot amount of
You
money
could
that they're
you could
giving these kids.
you could flip it. Like Jason Frazier right now. Jason Frazier will be getting a lot of NIL money coming out of high school, right? If he would have went,
Right.
don't know, right? And he didn't get any. He didn't get it. He didn't get any, right? So you can flip it in. He had injuries, man. So it changed the course of his career. He never really got into that,
Right.
right? So
Right.
so it's really going to start with the support system, and now that it's in play, now that it's in play, you have to factor that in. You have to factor that in as a parent, a aunt, or uncle. Like, we got something special here. But the basketball landscape is different now. It's not really just guys from the hood now. Like, they got a structure now, right? You got a lot of
Absolutely.
guys that are connected to former NBA players, former college players. They're getting into these systems and institutions that are giving them more information to be ready for these things in sixth grade, right? And sometimes
Absolutely.
it's a little bit, it might be a little bit too early, but they have more information than we did to be able to handle and equip for some of these things. But there's pros and cons to both sides. So I think it's a fascinating topic, and I think there's a lot of moving parts to it. If
Absolutely.
me, I would love to play in this.
Yeah.
I would love to play in this era with the resources and all of the different things at your fingertips. I would love to play in this era.
So Bob, what did you guys do in your era when you went? I know what I did, but what did you guys do in your era when you had to as far as like you want to if you see it's a difference when you have a favorite player, but you might not be able to perform like your favorite player. So it's like you go back, you either keep trying to play like your favorite player or you just go to something that's a little bit closer to your liking or doable. So what did you guys do back then when you like want to work on something or etc. As far as like let's say if your favorite player was Julius Erving and but you played more like Charles Oakley. How do
Well,
you
my situation was back then. Back then in the 70s, 80s, we had basketball camps. So that's where you honed your skills at. The Nike camp, the 5-star. You honed your game after people. Me growing up, like, see, my story is different because I was more of an athlete than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I became a basketball player as the years went on. But when I started, I was just ninth grade. I was just running up and down the court faster than everybody.
I got you.
I would guard the best offensive player because I was the quickest. I was this, that. But as my game evolved, as the years went on, I got better at being a basketball
So
player.
real quick,
Question: How did you get better?
How was your game evolving? Was you training, or do you have somebody to
Yes, I'm
tell
saying. What did you do to evolve your game?
you? Just was
That's the
watching
thing.
and then just implementing?
That's the crazy part.
Say that again.
Just playing pickup in the park.
Okay, playing pickup.
It wasn't just playing in Amityville Park, playing in Winans Park, playing at Tanner,
Yeah.
Going to Nassau, playing in tournaments, just playing ball. That's all we did back then. It wasn't really like a spot where you can just go, hone your skills. You honed your skills on the court.
That's it.
You got on the court, if you got on there and you tried to stay on there as long as possible, that's how you got better, by playing against the old. All right, let me put it like this. This is how you got better. You got better by playing 2 years above your grade.
I agree with that.
That makes sense. That makes sense to you?
To a degree. To a degree.
Like if you're 13, you're playing against 15, 16-year-olds. That'll get you better. Not where you can dominate 13-year-olds and 12-year-olds with your moves, because it's not going to work with a 15, 16-year-old, So that's how I think I got better, by playing people that were older than me.
You definitely get better by playing with people older than you as far as instincts and everything like that. But when it comes to prime example, I went to Hempstead High. Our brother Damian Bell, all of them, they could like they put it on the top of the backboard. So I couldn't jump that high. Like I couldn't.
Right.
So I gotta figure out what can I do to be more effective to complement that, because I can't do that. Like I don't have a 45-inch vertical. I don't. So I watched Jamal Mashburn's footwork. I watched certain players' footwork. You know what I'm saying? I watched a lot of John Wallace when he was at Syracuse. I watched Quentin Richardson was one of my guys when he was at DePaul, on how he rebounded, how he averaged 21 and 10 when he was a freshman at DePaul. Paul McPherson, I can name a million people that I watched, and I watched their footwork. I watched how Kenyon Martin time block shots. Like I did all that just so I could stand out, or at least try to, or attempt to. You know what I'm saying? And even that, it was cool to watch it and try to copy it. But what these kids got today, Bob, it's a different ball game, bro. Some of these kids playing the game, and you look at them play against other kids, it look like they're playing to get like they're doing drills. Like one kid, me and Tristan talked about before. He wore an Amityville uniform. When I watched him play, it was like he was playing with just chairs in front of him.
Gotcha.
It was like it was a drill. It was just everything was. I'm like, oh my god, like polished. You know what I'm saying? And that comes from work. That comes from that gym. You in there, and nobody else.
By yourself, gym rat.
Yeah, man. Like that's how you polish. That's how you do get better. Granted, your instincts and everything that by playing with older people. Obviously, I totally agree with that. But you gotta put that gym work in, man. And I learned that. Thank you to what's his name? A couple of coaches I had, but Rob Palvinelli from St. Dominic told me that more than anybody. You gotta put that Jim Fox too as well, but you gotta put that pain in, bro. You would have to.
Yeah.
This is a big topic. I think we should put a pin in this one and log it down, because I think we should circle back to this topic right here, because this also changed over the years too. And I would say you started getting the trainers like right around us graduating high school. D Moore, like Jerry Ice Powell. That's when he got on, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And then it got it. Now that's nationwide, and it's probably a flooded market now, if we're gonna be honest. But I think that's something that needs to be discussed, because now we can pull in the guys from different eras and talk about their experience about player development.
Absolutely.
Okay.
player development is a big deal, right? Because like you said, Bob,
It is.
I can relate to you with just being a raw athlete with instincts, and I can agree with Deshaun Moore with trying to be in the student of the game and watching other players. We talked about this.
Absolutely.
We watching not just for the highlights, but we're watching for some of the tips, and that was kind of our de facto or our version of a film study. Watching the Jones on ESPN when they was coming on ESPN2 and watching the Great Alaskan Shootout, but watching these guys that are in the prime of their career and some of the top players, but what are they doing well so I can implement those. So now you have people that did that on the TV that are teaching these kids now. We didn't really have that aspect of it. And we did very well without it. So now you have these guys that have so much of it, but they're not really playing against the older guys, and so there's some other elements that what we would say will be missing. So there's a disconnect. But for me, I try to look for the beauty in all of it, all the error. There's beauty in all. Like in the '60s,
Absolutely.
they was playing at low cut Chuck Taylors, dude. Like
Absolutely.
I don't know if I could do that. Like you got to be.
I can't.
You got to be rock solid. I mean, I don't think that it's not to say that I can't. I think every good player, let me rephrase that, every big time player or every good player will be able to adapt. That's something you got to adapt to. Like,
Absolutely.
you got low cut
You
Chucks.
couldn't play.
And
You couldn't play in them sneakers now. Memphis, they had no cushion.
I know,
They
but
should
going
have
back in there, that's when we would have had to play in. So we would have had to play. That's what.
But nobody,
Yo, give Wilt Chamberlain. I say this every time. Give Wilt Chamberlain a pair of Kobe's. What he looking like out here?
What? The Dipper? The
Wilt
Big Dipper?
looking like if he had a pair of Kobe's on right now. You know what I'm saying? Like now he's Giannis. Like
Might score 180.
he might score 180.
Yeah.
Like my feet never felt so good in my life. What is this?
Not a
You
Big
guys
Dipper.
sprint up
The
and
Big
down the
Dipper was
court with
Oh, the
no
top.
touch ups.
he was different kind of dominance, man.
Different type. I don't think we highlight that. Yeah, and low cut chucks.
He led the league in assists at one time because he wanted to.
Low cut chucks, bro. T Moore, we out there in low cut chucks trying to get it.
Never wearing no low cut chucks.
That's a different thing. Like, but that's what they had.
They don't even look fashionable on my size, bro. We're 15. That ain't happening.
Nah, you would have been out of there.
That ain't happening.
You might be.
So this is what they had. So they
You
look.
mess around. You might blow an ankle coming up the stands.
Blow water than ankle man on some chucks.
That's my point, bro. And them dudes was out there. These dudes was out there playing the whole game, running and cutting and all that type of stuff. So they look at this era and be like, bro, I got all of the stuff. Like, give me that. So I think it's a fascinating thing, man. I really appreciate you guys, man, tapping in. So we got Deshaun Moore saying the 90s. We got Bobby B saying the 80s, and I think I'm gonna stick with the 2000s, man. But I'm kind of on the fence. But I'm gonna stand with my 2000s. We'll go back into our page, talk a little trash, and see what somebody got to say.
All right, salute, bro.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
I appreciate you guys, man. Much love.
All right,
Till
y'all.
next
Peace,
time.
y'all.
All right.
Yeah.